There, guys. Getting rolling on the rudder or vertical stabilizer, whatever you want to call it. So standard hardware for this, and you've got these two arms that are clamp arms that essentially are what they got these little grooves cut in them. So you take these little guys, which is essentially just a 4mm or 3mm bolt that looks like these. I was wondering what these were for. And they just cut the head off and trimmed it and made this. So you got the smooth part, and that's what goes in this little channel and moves back and forth on the rudder or on the servo, and this screws into the rudder or the servo head. They give you two lock nuts here. Obviously one to put on the bottom, and then you're going to need one on top to kind of lock it in place. I might use these arms because they're thinner and will give me room for this. But what I'm thinking about doing is I've got some non-lock nuts, bolts, 3mm bolts, 3mm nuts that aren't lock nuts and they're thinner, and I will put that on the bottom. On the top with some thread lock, and then screw it down to where it seats, and then use this lock nut on the bottom to kind of clamp it down, and then it'll just sit there. And this piece here will clamp on. I've already installed these, but I'll kind of go over them. You have to take the actual rudder out. It's just a live hinge, and then you got these long rods that run from here all the way up to here, and this little, let me reposition it here. This piece right here, this rod actually goes into a hole that's angled, and it needs to angle down towards the bottom of the rudder. And there's a set screw on top. So I took these out, put a flat spot on them, put them in, locked them down, and then I'm like, oh crap, I can't get them in because of this hinge here. So I had to take it back at this T-rod back out. And of course, because there's overspray in this channel, run them back and forth to clean that out, and they loosened up quite a bit. And then slide it up, put the bar in, and then thank God for the right tool for the right job. I use my little short head Allen wrenches. It's a 2mm to get in there, because even with it pushed all the way down, a normal size wouldn't work, and trying to come in with a ball driver wasn't working either. So but got those nice and tight, and they're in. I did put a little lube on this one. It's got grease. It makes it nice and smooth. The other one was tighter, and it didn't seem to work as well with the grease, so I cleaned the grease off and just used some oil just to kind of, it's a carbon rod, probably doesn't even need it, but you know, shit, why not? Don't use the rudders all that much anyways. But, and this bottom piece is what the let me get this flipped over here, and I'll show you guys doing this one-handed because I want to put it on my head. So this will clamp on here like so, and then so that way you can take the rudders off, and the servo will stay in the fuselage, and that pin will just go into there. So you'll have to kind of line these up and clamp them properly, and then have that pin line up when you put them back in. And that is that side of it. This is where the rotor servo goes, and then you got this one on the side for your stab, horizontal stabulator. So it's obviously too big or too small for the servo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the rudders on and mark where the edge of the rudder is, so I don't cut too wide and go into that. You really can't go too far, but because there's a bulkhead here, but I don't know if that bulkhead is actually inside or outside of the actual rudder line or the edge of the rudder. So nothing to trim on this side. I mean, there's a little area that you could sand, but it's the flat edge. And then but I'm guessing this will actually be under the rudder itself, but just need to make a line here and plus it'll help when you line up that piece I was talking about that glues on the stab. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm kind of I'm gonna call it. Tuesdays are my in-office days, so I have to get up at like 5:15 to get going to the office. So I'm a little smoked, and I haven't even eaten yet. I wasn't all that hungry, so I still need to eat. And then just chill out, and I'll get on this tomorrow when I'm nice and rested. But this should go pretty quick, assuming, well, no, I'm gonna have to, the mounts are probably gonna have to be trimmed and at least put a little notch in there to allow room for the servo wire to get down in there, and probably some cleanup of the glue and stuff that'll kind of hit so that, get in the way of the servo sitting flush. So, and it'll be a tight fit, so. But that's the rudder work so far, and my phone's still blowing up, and nothing crazy, kind of like the flaperons. It has that little channel right there for that rod to go into, and these are live hinge, just drives them. It was super tight, so you may have to work these slots, kind of custom fit them for the rods. And now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't put, and I did this on the flaperons, so I don't know if I mentioned it, but I will. So on the Tomcat, it made it a lot better of movement and everything if you rounded these tips, because with a sharp edge it would cut into the channel, and it would just cause some drag that you didn't need. So I rounded the edges on these, and I'll take a Dremel, the sanding bit, and then kind of taper those, get rid of that sharp edge on those as well. So less of an issue on the rudders than something like a flap, because on the flaps that bar was rotating and moving in the channel versus just up and down sliding. So kind of more like this one does, but just a little extra thing. But you guys have a good one. I'm gonna get this uploaded and call it a night. Oh, and if you got any questions, let me know. Put them in the comments. I'll get to them when I see them. And like, thumbs down, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. And I guess you can turn notifications on too if you want to get some updates when I upload a video. But you guys have a good evening, and talk to you tomorrow. Cheers.